5 reasons why I didn't go skating tonight. Checkmate. Clickbait. I'm sorry. Okay guys, for the first video on Junkyard Finds, I got a cool project here. A 2004 Kawasaki KLR 250 Dual Sport. And it currently doesn't run, so I got a pretty good deal on it. We're going to have a series of what we're doing to it, how we're going to fix it up. We're going to have it back running better than ever before too long. So like I said, it doesn't run right now currently, and it's because of this right here. The carburetor malfunction. It's not feeding it fuel like it should. Could rebuild these like some people do. I'm just going to toss this old piece of junk out in the yard, and we're going to get us a new one like what people should do. And the reason why I know the carburetor went bad on it is because it's still got a good ignition. And the reason I know that is because with the switch on, I sprayed a little bit of gas up in the air intake side of the carburetor. If you give it a few kicks to like start it up with this right here, it'll turn over and run just long enough to burn up the gas. So it don't have a clogged fuel line on it or anything like that. The carburetor's just went bad, so I've got a carburetor ordered on it here. But we're about to start tearing it apart. And I'm going to get to work on that. I'll give you a view of the other side. So we've got the front fender off now. Very simple. There's 4 bolts here. It originally mounts like this right here. You just take them out from underneath. Use this impact drill with a 10mm socket. Next, to get the fender completely off, you have to take loose this cable holder right here for the brake line. And the reason I'm taking the front fender off is we're going to have a cool project going on for it, because as you can see, it's busted. So you loosen that, and the cable will just pull right out of there. And now that we've got the clamp loose, the hose won't come out of this little holder right here, so instead of undoing the rivets right here, cutting them out or something, I'm just going to take the brake cable loose right here with a pair of channel lock pliers. And I apologize, it's not the brake cable, it's actually the speed sensor cable, so you want to be careful with this little end right here. And it goes in just like this right here. See the little slot? The slot is straight forward, just like that, and it goes in just like that, and that just screws down on there pretty snug. But now that we've got the fender off, we're going to start prepping it for what we're going to do to it. So now that we've got the fender clean, just a little soap and water, we're going to start the next thing. We're going to sand it a little bit. Just got some 320 sanding grit here because I'm going to put a finish on here. So y'all are going to have to stay tuned for that, because I'm going to have to buy the stuff to finish it with. I'm going to get to sanding on it now. Okay, now that we've got the fender all sanded, I'm going to go down here to this crack and trim it. And to trim it, I started out using pliers, and it just really wasn't cutting it. It's such thick plastic, because I want it to be round at the front instead of having this crack. So we're going to use this DeWalt oscillating chisel. Okay, now that we've got the fender cut, we're going to start repairing the crack. Alright, so it turns out I'm out of the stuff to repair this crack. So the fender is just going to have to wait until I can go to the store and pick up some more of that stuff. And actually the finished coating, what it will be, and the color that it's going to be. All the plastic on the bike is going to be taken off, like the headlight trim and all that. And it's got little plastic fenders like for the side that I'm going to do as well, the same. And I'm going to take off this back fender and coat it too. But it's going to be a surprise. So next thing, we're going to get to cleaning this up a little bit. Okay, so I've got the carburetor taken off this model right here. And this right here is the motor side of it. And I'm going to be cleaning all this junk that's down up in here. So I highly, if you're doing the same thing, tape off this right here, because you don't want water to get up in there. That will be a big mess later down the road. So I'm going to get to washing. Okay, so it's all washed now. I went ahead and took this off. It's just 3 bolts that were holding it on. And I took it off, and I see a wasp nest right here. And I'm glad these guys right here are gone, because you'd have seen me taking off and running if they weren't. Throw it outside because it was old. There's actually a little bitty one right there, tiny when it was started. So now I'm going to go back here and work on taking off this back fender. So I got the little storage bag off. I got to wash under here now. But to take the rear fender off, you got to go up under here, and there's a nut on the inside of the taillights, the signals. And you have to take that off, and then the fender would come off, and then you have to take these wires out. And I don't think I'm going to go quite that far with it. I'm actually going to spray it in place because 90% of the fender is covered. You can just see this little bit back here. I'll just spray that in place. I'm going to take off this before I do it. But, got it cleaned up this evening. Gonna order the new carburetor tonight. It should be in a few days. Gonna also order the coating to do the plastics on it. I have the other piece of plastics in my shop. Gonna do an oil change on it. Gonna put a new battery in it. Replace all the bulbs with LED. I actually had to put a new ignition on it because the ignition at one point, somebody lost the key, I guess, and the little pigtail, and the key that used to be right here is gone. Somebody just puts a switch on it. So I'm gonna take the switch off and get a new ignition to put on it. And got a few more little cool things going with it, but that's about all I'm gonna tell y'all right now. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. This is my first one for the new series, Junkyard Finds. So we'll be looking at a lot of cool stuff, and I'll go into detail more of how I'm doing the stuff as we go along and some more interesting stuff comes about. But thank you for your time. Have a good evening.